All right, so we're going to talk about how to use the tuner app within SmartMusic. You may have found that for some of you, you're playing the right notes in SmartMusic and it's still marking the notes incorrect. And one of the reasons for that could be that your instrument is simply out of tune. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to use the tuner app and then how to adjust the tuning on your instrument. So to get to the tuner app, I can access it either from my SmartMusic dashboard. My dashboard, of course, looks a little different than yours, or from within the assignment. The app will be located in the same place. It's going to be right up here, this little tuning fork icon up at the top. And if I click on that, that will take me to my tuner app. For right now, so that I can continue to record audio, I'm going to click Don't Allow my microphone, but you are going to want to click Allow. Okay, that will allow your Chromebook to actually listen to what you're playing. So I'm going to go ahead and click Don't Allow and open up the tuner. And I click here to start tuning. Okay, now it's really important that once I open my tuner, I go to this drop-down menu and I want to select whatever instrument I am playing, because that is going to have an impact on what notes it displays on the tuner for you. In this case, I'm going to be playing a flute, so I'm going to select flute at first. And so this is what the tuner looks like. Now we do want to take a look at what note you should be playing to tune your instrument. And I'm going to put a graphic up here on the screen. If you are playing a flute, you want to tune to the note A. If you're playing a clarinet, you can see that the note is G. If you are playing an alto saxophone or a baritone saxophone, the note's going to be F sharp. Tenor saxophone, the note should be B. If you're playing trumpet, ideally, if you can play the C that you see on the screen, that would be great. If that's a little too high for you, then go ahead and tune to the G. French horn is going to be the same, either the C or the G for your instrument. And then if you're playing a trombone, if you can play this higher B flat, go ahead and tune to that. And if not, go ahead and tune to the F, okay? And when you play that tuning note, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to play it and hold it out until you get a reading on the tuner. You'll notice that once you play a note, the needle here will either remain in the green, go to the the right, or to the left. If the needle goes to the right, it's going to indicate that the pitch is sharp or too high. If the needle swings to the left, it means that the pitch is flat or too low. If it stays within the green, it means that the pitch is accurate. So I'm going to now go to my tuner and play my flute, and I'll show you how this works. So what we noticed there was, first of all, when I played a note, the letter name showed up here in the circle. Now it's important to note that since I was playing a flute, the letter name matched the note I was playing. In other words, on the flute I wanted to play an A, and the letter name that showed up here was an A. If you're playing, for example, trumpet, and you play a C, it is not going to say C here. Rather, it is going to say B flat. Alto sax is going to look different. Bari sax is going to look different. It will show you the concert pitch. So what note you would be playing in terms of concert pitch, concert B flat. It's going to show up over here what note you are, over here where it says transposed. This will actually say what note you're playing on your instrument. So in other words, if you're playing a trumpet and you play the note C, it will say C here, but it will say concert B flat here. So those notes are not always going to match, and that's okay. Now what you noticed is that for my flute, the needle swung sharply to the right. It was way over here in the red. So that means that my pitch was sharp. So let's take a look at some adjustments that we can make on individual instruments to fix the pitch if it is sharp. Okay, so the tuner indicated that my flute was sharp. And all that means is that the pitch on that particular note that I'm playing is too high. Sharp means too high, flat means too low. Okay, and what that means is that my instrument is just a little too short to make the proper sound. So how do I adjust the length of my instrument? Well, on a flute, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flute and I'm going to pull the head joint out slightly. Okay, now it may take several tries going back and forth with moving it and playing with the tuner to get the note in the green, the needle in the green, but I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to play the note again. If it's still sharp, I'm going to pull it out a little more. If the needle has swung the other direction and it's now flat, I'm going to push it back in a little bit until I get to the right spot. So that's how we adjust the flute if we're sharp. On clarinet, okay, I've got a clarinet mouthpiece and barrel here. All I'm going to do here is pull out the mouthpiece just a little bit so that we get a little bit of a gap between the mouthpiece and the barrel. We don't want to go too far, okay? On a saxophone, this is an alto saxophone neck, but this will work for any saxophone. If the pitch is sharp, I'm basically going to move the mouthpiece farther off of the cork. So I'm going to pull it this direction, okay? On a trumpet or a French horn, this will work for either, I'm going to take this, and I've got a main tuning slide in here. The French horn, it's on the back. The trumpet, it's right here. If the pitch is sharp, I'm going to pull this tuning slide out, lengthening my trumpet, okay? Trombone has a main tuning slide as well. And again, if the pitch is sharp, I'm going to take this main tuning slide here and I'm going to move it out. Notice how I lengthen that out. That will make the pitch flatter or lower on my instrument. And again, I'm going to keep adjusting back and forth until I get that needle. So now I've made some adjustments to my flute, and hopefully what we will see here is that as I play, the arrow should end up in the green. And so that's what we want, is for that arrow to end up as close to the center as possible. So I'm going to try tuning again, and we're going to see what the tuner tells me now. So here we go. Okay, so there's my A, and what we noticed was that the needle was now significantly to the left, which means that I'm quite flat, okay? And again, I want that needle to show up in the green here. So now let's take a look and talk about some adjustments we can make to our instrument if the tuner indicates that our note is flat. So my flute was flat, so I need to make some adjustments. First of all, what does that mean? It means that the pitch on that note that I was playing is too low, meaning that my instrument is too long to produce the appropriate sound for that note. So how do I make the pitch higher or shorten my instrument? Well, on my flute, all I'm going to do is I'm going to now push the head joint in some more. Again, I might need to fool around with this and go back and forth, push it in, play a note, see where the needle is, and adjust from there. So this is not just a one-time fix, okay? So for flat on flute, I'm going to push the head joint in. If I'm looking at my clarinet, okay, and there's a gap between the mouthpiece and the barrel, I'm going to push the mouthpiece all the way on or farther on. Now, if you are all the way together and you're still noticing that your pitch is flat, there's not much we can do to make the instrument shorter than this. So what we need to do is maybe put a little bit more mouthpiece in our mouth. Also make sure that you're hanging on firmly with your top teeth and your bottom lip is pressing into the reed. You might want to press a little more firmly on the reed. The same applies for saxophone, okay? Now saxophone, again, to make the instrument shorter, I'm simply going to push the mouthpiece farther on. We do that if the pitch is flat. And again, if I pushed as far as I can and the pitch is still flat, again, make sure your top teeth are on the mouthpiece. Maybe put a little more mouthpiece in your mouth and press that bottom lip over your teeth and press into the reed just a little more. Okay. On trumpet or trombone, trumpet or French horn, I'm going to take this main tuning slide and I'm going to push it in a bit. Okay, I'm going to shorten that tubing up. Notice how that went in. I closed the gap here. And that's going to make my instrument shorter and allow the pitch to go higher. Okay, hopefully we don't run into an issue on this instrument where it's all the way together and we're still flat. We shouldn't. Trombone, same idea. I take my trombone and I've got my main tuning slide here. Notice the gap. I'm going to push this main tuning slide in until we get to a point. Again, push it in, play your note, see where you are. adjust if it's sharp or flat. If it's sharp, pull out. If it's flat, pull in or push in, and you want to go back and forth until you've got that needle in the green. Now, once you've done that, that does not mean that every single note on your instrument is in tune. It simply means that that one note on your instrument is in tune. Now, it does give us a good frame of reference, and it helps ensure that in the long run, we are playing more notes in tune. So please, please, please make sure that you use this app before you are recording your exercise, or even before you're practicing and evaluating yourself, because you'll have a better time getting SmartMusic to accurately rate your notes. If they're out of tune, it's just going to mark them incorrect. So we want to try and play in tune. So hopefully that helps, and make sure to tune those instruments before you play, guys.